Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Mandy. I am the Vice President of Revenue for Parity. It's a little loud in the back. Thank you. Parity is a sports marketing and sponsorship platform. We're focused squarely on professional women athletes, and we have a roster of over 1,100 women athletes across 80 different sports. I'm sure everyone here is well aware of the incredible growth, the soaring popularity of women's sports. Some people call it the Caitlin Clark effect. It was happening before that, but despite all of that, the levels of inequity remain staggering, and at Parity, we're putting more money in the pockets of pro-women athletes across all sports. So thank you so much for having me. I've actually been a Brand Innovators participant for a long time. This is my first time being here with Parity. So, and I'm really excited that I'm here with Mark Messing. Enough about me for sure. I want Mark to give you a little brief history. It's hard to say brief because he's been with Domino's for over 11 years and has a lot of great information and some fun stories to share with you. One of the things I was really impressed with that we spoke about earlier was that under Mark's watch, the e-commerce orders have skyrocketed from, get ready, 35% to almost 80% of Domino's business. So we'll get into a little bit of that later, but Mark, why don't you tell us about your role and some of your highlights of your illustrious career thus far?
Yeah, thank you. Hi. What I do at Domino's, I'm the Vice President of Global E-commerce and Customer Marketing. So I get to oversee our e-commerce products and then loyalty personalization stuff. Has had a really cool career at Domino's. The years I've been there, I've been able to really drive some big innovations, including the recent relaunch of our Domino's Rewards program, including standing up the first ever self-driving delivery test service, standing up an in-house media team, and also a lot of digital brand actions. So you might have seen things like emergency pizza or carry-out tips, points for pies, brand actions like that have sort of been a big part of my career as well.
Very fun fact and very close to my Gen X heart. Who remembers the Noid? Who knows the Noid is back? That's Mark, by the way.
We brought back the Noid. We put this was a few years ago. We put the Noid in Crash Bandicoot on the Run, which was a mobile game, and then we had GIFs. We had digital ads that worked super well, where the Noid was dressed up in his Noid costume, and then there was Crash Bandicoot dressed up in his Crash Bandicoot costume, and they were like trying to foil each other's deliveries and stuff, and it worked super well actually. So that was fun. I
loved it because it spoke to me and my husband, but also to my 19-year-old at the time gamer son, which is where this kind of rolled out. So you did a great job spanning generations on that one. Okay, so just a little fun warm-up. We talked last night about how much fun you had watching the Olympics in Paris with your kids. Quick plug, Parity has 97 athletes that participated in the Olympic Games and are still competing in the Paralympic Games this week, which is really exciting for us. But I would love to know what your favorite Olympic moment was from Paris.
Yeah, I loved the Olympics this year. I really did. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and the USA chants in my house were, it was really cool to see how into it we all got as a family. My favorite moment was definitely Kristen Faulkner in the road cycling. And I don't know if you know the story. She just started cycling through cycling classes like 5 years ago. She was in investment banking, I think. And she started that, and she ended up winning this road cycling race, like against all odds. And she said, the risk-reward analysis that she had learned in investment banking helped drive her decision-making when she decided to push at certain points. She ended up winning by like a mile. And it was just such a cool story, such an inspiration to me. I started my cycling class this week, and I'm about to slice through the competition in 2028. I'm coming for it, getting that gold,
I'll meet you there after my Peloton class that I'll be taking when I get home tomorrow. So we can still do it. We can do it.
Really cool.
Well, Kristen's a Parity athlete, so I just love that that's a natural story that Mark had, that we were so inspired. And I'm new to Parity, so I actually didn't know, and I watched the race, and then right after, I was like, this is someone that we're working with and supporting. So just a really, really fun story. So a lot of those types of stories coming out of the games, obviously. Okay, so I'd like to have you start by talking a little bit about customer experience and value, which I know you know a lot about, but how does Domino's define value in today's competitive landscape?
Yeah, I would say, just to take it to a higher level of brand first, I think people are looking for a brand that gets them. So does this brand get me? And a brand they can trust, right? And for us, the way that we really bring that to life is to seek to understand cultural and product tensions that exist. And then we take a sincere brand action against that product tension. So that is sort of one way where we really focus on providing what we call renowned value, where it's about providing value, but in a way that shows that we really relate to the situation that our customers are solving for. Emergency Pizza is a really good example of this. When we redid our Domino's Rewards program, we launched a program called Emergency Pizza. And the thought there was, we're going to give you a pizza for when you need it on a rainy day. That came from an insight that informed that strategy was a lot of our rewards members were telling us, I save my points for the day I need to have points to buy dinner tonight, right? And so Emergency Pizza is really a buy one, get one offer, but we really focused on positioning that in a certain way so that it was more ownable to Domino's, so that it was something that was distinct and stood out and really resonated with our audience, right? So I think that's one major way. I think beyond that, it's just about trying to give people more tailored and personalized value. I think the value war in QSR, if you call it that, is heating up. And it's coming to life in different ways than before. We do a lot of flash deals. We do a lot of loyalty perks in our program. So we had a flash deal yesterday where you could get 50% off pizza. We have a perk right now going on where you can get free dessert with a $10 order. These are things where they're the types of deals we haven't done in the past, but they provide, that consistent stream of fresh value that sort of people can rely on over time. And so that's what we're sort of going for with that.
Touched on personalization just then. What else can you say about the role of personalization in your marketing strategy?
Yeah, I would say the thing with personalization to me that I see is a lot of times people are looking to do personalization for personalization's sake, or they're looking to use AI for AI's sake. And the important thing for us at Domino's is to say, what's the higher level objective that we're using this technology for, or this tactic for? We have a higher level business strategy of focusing on communicating. We have the most delicious food, having operational excellence so that the service is really strong, and having renowned value. So where we're using personalization, it's to start to emphasize those things through personalization. What's delicious to you is not the same thing as what's delicious to me. And so what you're going to start seeing from Domino's is more bespoke food photography that tailors to your food preferences, offers that tailor to the occasions you tend to be solving, and things that solve that moment of value. We know that value is a really important thing for our customers. I talked about how brands, you're really trying to communicate to customers we're a brand that gets you, right? When I was growing up, pizza night was a magical night, right? And to get that magical night, my parents needed value, right? And so I think that's a situation a lot of the country is in, and so it's about figuring out how to tailor that value to different situations so that you can be solving a problem for the customer while driving business for our franchisees.
And it sounds like, I know this in my case, we are a huge Domino's household. My son will never let it go, ever. I'm just saying, the more you talk to him, the more pizza we're eating. But it breeds a lot of loyalty, like at my house. So from your perspective, what's the most critical aspect of building brand loyalty for the rest of this year and beyond?
I think it's a combination of the things we were talking about. I think it's, establishing that you're a brand that gets your customer base, building that brand trust, and having consistency, right? And so we've had national price points within our national coupons for a long time. We have $6.99 mix and match deal. That deal was $5.99 mix and match before. that is meant to have value that people can rely on. They know if I'm thinking Domino's, I'm going to be able to get it at a good price. Beneath that, now we're creating a layer of consistent value through our rewards program, where you can now get a free item every 2 orders. So you sort of have that as a consistent value that you can get. And we have like surprise and delight offers and orders that have like more variety to them. So it's about providing that consistently, but also doing it in a way where there's a little bit of variety to it, so you feel like you're spicing up your Thursday night meal.
So in all of our conversations, you talked a lot about, some very big transformations that you've gone through alongside of and for and with your brand. I want to talk about marketing and digital transformation in particular. How has Domino's evolved its brand to meet the changing customer expectations?
Yeah, I think the way I think about this is like revolution versus evolution. Domino's does really revolutionary things a lot, right? We were actually one of the first people with a mobile website. We were one of the first people with a mobile app to order with. We also did things like you could tweet at Domino's and order a pizza just with the tweet by tweeting an emoji at Domino's, right? We did points for pies where you could scan pizza from anywhere and get loyalty points into our program. We're doing things to be disruptive, to be revolutionary, to push the boundaries, right? We did something called Mind Ordering in partnership with Stranger Things, where it was an app where you could, it was facial gesture activated app, and you could make facial gestures to order your pizza through this app, and it was in partnership with Stranger Things. So we have done big, revolutionary things, and I think that's about continuing to try and push the boundaries, continuing to try and involve your business approach and technology and figure out what is resonating with customers. But increasingly, there is a need for the base things that we created to evolve, right? So, when we launched the mobile app, having the mobile app was enough. Now we're at a point where, with COVID, a lot of food concepts have adopted to technology. And so we're at a point of reinvention with a lot of our different platforms. We just did it with rewards, where we overhauled that. And we're about to do it with our website and app platforms here in the next couple of quarters, where we're going to be redesigning and reinventing that. And so strategically, it's about really trying to look at our resources and balance what we're going to put towards those big, new, disruptive ideas, and recognize we need to save some for the foundation of our business, and recognize those things need to be kept at the forefront as well.
Those technological advances are happening so quickly. It just feels so fast. What advice do you have for marketers who might be struggling with that pace of digital transformation?
That's a good one. Take a breath, I guess. I think that research to figure out what customers actually want, figure out the problem you're trying to solve, make sure that technology is solving a problem, and it all becomes an exercise of prioritization, right? And so you need to make sure that you're not distracting your resources on things that aren't driving the business. You need to make sure that you are focused on your customer at all times, and you need to make sure that the things you develop actually solve a problem for your customers. So I think that would be the main thing. Having a pulse on the pace of change is important. Also having a pulse on which of those changes are important to your customers is the way to sort of figure out what to prioritize.
Staying on kind of this pace topic, we were speaking earlier about how quickly someone needs to react to maybe a viral moment or something that a brand can kind of hop on or take advantage of or use to their advantage as quickly as possible. How do you feel? I mean, I know a little bit because we were talking earlier, but let's talk about that authenticity piece and what it means for Domino's. When I love the example you gave with Rory McIlroy earlier, if you could just talk through kind of those types of things when they occur, and then how you try to react, or what you dream of being able to do down the road.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a good question. I think with the Rory McIlroy thing in particular. Just laddering it back up to that idea of, does your customer base feel that this is a brand that gets me? I sort of outlined how we take brand actions that address cultural tensions, and that's our way to try and strike that tone. I think another way to do that is to find these really sincere, authentic moments of brand love and amplify them and lean into them and progress the narrative, right? So there was a time where Rory McIlroy on a hot mic, I think he was talking to another golfer like while they were like sitting by the green, and he goes like, "Oh man, we're on a big Domino's kick right now." And he's like, "They've been so solid every time." And it was just so authentic. And the reality is that went viral to its own extent, but we weren't necessarily structured in a way to take advantage of that. And so I think just strategically setting yourself up to be able to seize on those moments just for the pure opportunity that they are versus, taking too much time to figure out how it fits into everything else and taking, like, is this our target market? Is this, I think leaning into that passion because it's really a gift from your customers and figuring out how to amplify it is important. There's another one on this front where like K-pop people are super into Domino's right now on Twitter because K-pop band released a music video called Domino and it like has pizza in it. So they're like always tweeting at us and we need to do a better job of like showing them that we're a part of that community, right? So I think that there's things like that we could, be leveraging more. I don't know that we found the secret sauce to leveraging those moments yet though, to be honest.
I think it's really difficult. I spent some time before I was with Parity at an influencer marketing agency, and we had a lot of phone calls from, especially in the food space, from brands who were asking us to create virality. They would say, "Oh, the Grimace shake thing, can you do that for us? Can you have influencers make that for us?" And if we think back to the Ocean Spray dude and all of the things that happened, like, he just did that and it created this incredible moment for this brand, but it really did fall out of the sky and into their laps, and they've probably been chasing that ever since. But a lot of brands spend a lot of time trying to see how they can make that next thing happen, and I feel like not as much time planning for how they would react to when it naturally happens, which I think is a really difficult thing to do.
The thing is, like, brands sort of have personality traits too, right? And there are times where your brand's personality overlaps with another personality, and when you can strike that tone the right way, it goes super well, right? I'm a huge Detroit Lions fan. I'm a season ticket holder. Applebee's just released a Dan Campbell ad, and it is like executed to perfection. Like, it's like if you like that team or you know the NFL at all, it's like they got the little things right that show it's not just we're throwing Dan Campbell in an ad, it's like we got his personality, right? So I'm ordering Applebee's tonight because like that really resonated with me, right? And so I think it's like trying to figure out what your brand personality is and how that overlaps with some of those other individual personalities or the thing you're trying to solve, and how a personality, an influencer or a sports personality out there, their brand might just really emphasize that thing you're trying to solve somehow.
And that really speaks to this specific Applebee's example to, for us at Parity, the difference between fans and followers. I've now learned there's a very big difference. And even in my own way that I consume social media, I follow a lot of sports figures that I'm big fans of. But I'm not just a fan of Steph Curry and his entire world, but I'm a huge Golden State Warriors fan. Sorry, I'm from California. Not anymore, but I spent a long time there. And it's so much bigger than that. It's not just Steph, it's the team, and then it's the city, and then it's the state. And again, that fandom is something that when you utilize athletes specifically or coaches in your advertising, you're not just getting influencers, followers who are following them because they know they're going to tell them about cool things to buy or wear or how they look or who their boyfriend is. I think that fandom is a really important distinction when working in the sports space. So I love that you're going to Applebee's. If I was still going to be here tonight, I would go with you.
Sports connects us, right? So it makes total sense. I think a big thing we're trying to strike strategically is how do we facilitate family connection on pizza night, right? And so I think that can play a role for sure.
Well, I know you all have had some really exciting brand loyalty partnerships. Could you just share some of the most impactful ones, and then if you have a favorite?
Well, my favorite's probably the Noid Crash Bandicoot one that you brought up. where we had the Noid and the Crash Bandicoot game. Have had the opportunity to have a few others. We partnered with Ford on the self-driving delivery testing, so that was really cool. Our Stranger Things partnership is another favorite of mine, where we were able to sort of, because we made really long-form spots that were really like storytelling that moment with, you know, Dustin and others from Stranger Things to really like tap into nostalgia, really, in those two moments, really with Crash and with Stranger Things. We're trying to tap into nostalgia. And so, you know, those are probably, you know, my favorite too.
Thank you. I would love to open it up to see if anyone has any questions for Mark. Anyone? Yes.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Lee. My question for Mark is, how do you guys leveraging reaching a younger reach to Gen Z?
Yeah, I would say our media plans are more focused on, you know, YouTube, TikTok, Reddit than ever before. So there's that side of it. I think as we're creating creative in that space, I think we're learning about how the creative needs to shift a little bit. In that space, we were very food focused for a long time, and I think we're trying to speak the language of the communities in those spaces a little bit more. So on TikTok, the creative teams that are working on that are focused on sort of striking what they're calling an unhinged tone of like just that sort of randomness, that sporadicness, that sort of, you know, catches you off guard and is captivating, right? The Crash Bandicoot spots we made were actually like along that same vein. So I think we're learning how to have better creative both for our organic platforms and for our media buys in those spaces. We also have a team that's more empowered to react to those moments more as well.
And I feel like some of that technological personalization we were talking about is a big piece of getting to Gen Z, allowing them to order in the ways that they utilize all the things, which is not how I'm using a phone and a watch and all that.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I think like the higher level things we're striking with value and personalization do resonate with Gen Z in a big way as well. And you know, it's an area we're still trying to figure out more of though too. I think it's can be hard because the attention you have from those audiences is a little bit less. But we are focused on making things more personalized because that is a big desire from Gen Z, but also from other generations.
College focus group. My son's available for free. I'm pretty sure he would love that. Any other questions for Mark?
I can talk loudly. So I don't know how to construct this question, but let's just say it. So like, right, there's increased awareness about people's diets, what they eat. Everyone's this, that, and the next thing gluten-free, flexitarian, blah, blah, blah. Have you heard of that?
Have I heard that people are,
Flexitarian.
oh, flexitarian? Yes, I have. Yes. Yeah. We're targeting the coffee and cigarettes. No, I'm just kidding.
My question is, and because I'm from automotive, so I could go this route, like with automotive, electric, hybrid. For you, it's like, do you just lean into the fact that, like, listen, we're pizza, like, get over it, and that's all we're really worried about? Or are you taking into account this new direction, but maybe putting less marketing? You tell me.
Great question. The first, so we're pizza, we're solving a certain thing. And we have put a lot of research into figuring out what are the ways that people are using Domino's in their lives today? What are the occasions that they're solving for today? What's the market that exists for that? And how much more of that market do we have to capture? We have enough of that market to capture that it makes sense to keep leaning in on that. There are ways that we need to frame our positioning to capture the market, especially as things like freshness or even just perceived freshness or perceived healthiness become more important, right? And so when we talk about a core strategic tenet we have of really communicating the most delicious food, a lot of that, I think, comes down to emphasizing the freshness of our product in a way that we haven't been doing before. We hand toss all of the dough that we're doing, like stuff like that. We can be talking about that more. On our e-commerce platform, when you come today, the food could be romanced more, but still in an authentic way. So like things like that we're really focused on. But at the end of the day, like we're solving for the Thursday night family dinner that you're trying to make a little more interesting, or you don't have enough time to like do other things, right? And I think we're leaning into the things that solve for that occasion really, really well. Whether we expand outside of that over time will, as the market for that occasion saturates, would sort of be, for the future.
Great. All right. Oh, one in the back.
Hi, I was just curious. Obviously, always in an evolution of tactics and messaging and this sort of thing, and new promotions and getting points towards free things. That's one thing, to get the company culture to embrace that change. I'm just curious how difficult it is to get the franchise model to embrace corporate's changes.
Yeah, that's a great question. The first thing I'll say is I have the benefit of a leadership team that has really embraced that innovation as well. So as someone that's been working on innovation my whole career there's always almost been an encouragement from my leadership team to keep pushing that. So that's the first thing. The franchisees, the story there is roughly, there was a time where there was a YouTube video that went out, and there were Domino's employees on that YouTube video, and they were, I think one of them put a piece of cheese in their nose in this video. It was about 10 years ago, right? And obviously not the kind of video you want to go viral. I think Domino's stock was in the lowest point of its history at that time, right? And what happened is, one store affected the whole brand with one YouTube video, our sales trajectories in a meaningful way, right? And what happened after that moment is it became super apparent that technology has seismic impact on your business, right? We've built trust with our franchisees because the things that we're building and the innovations that we're doing are driving their business at the end of the day. A lot of it started with that one moment of them realizing how big technology can be. And we continue to build that trust every day with our technical innovation. And when we're doing some of these other marketing strategies, we really bring measurement to the table. We bring data to the table to solve that problem, to build that trust, They're really some of my best strategic partners are the franchisees I work with. They have a perspective that I don't have. And certain ideas I can only get so far, and then they'll tweak it a little bit, it'll become a lot better, right?
Great. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, everybody.